Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby, and today I have the legendary West Coast Godfather, West Coast hip hop, I call him. He is the Grandmaster, Alonzo, the Grandmaster Williams, world-class record crew, founder, creator, my man, the distributor banging on wax, a couple of them. He has opened doors, made a difference for a lot of folks coming out of the West Coast. Everybody knows Cat, Dre, all of them came out of Lonzo's camp. You know what I mean? Cube. Everybody that was in the NWA had been touched by Lonzo, the Grandmaster Williams. And you can't tell the West Coast hip hop story without the Grandmaster. Welcome. Appreciate you.
Much love. What's happening with you folks?
Oh, slow motion, but it beats no motion. As long as I stay, upright, I'm good. You know what I mean?
It's always a good position.
Hey,
always a good position.
Always a good.
Can't go wrong with upright.
No, can't go wrong with upright on the square. You feel me? Anyway, man. So look, you've been talked about in documentaries from, straight out of Compton. You've got a documentary on you that's totally based on you as well. You've appeared on Welcome to Death Row. You're part of the fabric of West Coast hip hop, period. Not just gangster rap, but hip hop, period. And you're doing so many things. So let's give them a refresher from the inside looking out reflectively. Talk to me about Alonzo, the Grandmaster Williams.
Young man out of Compton, California, born and raised. Got influenced by music when he was about 13 years old, going to Campanella Park, going to Gonzalez Park, doing the dances with KGFJ. And man, just always was around music, dude. And when I got a chance to get involved after first out of high school, I took the opportunity and I was going to be a radio DJ, and that didn't happen. But at the same time, we were doing disco. And I jumped into the disco scene and became a promoter. I mean, became DJ, then a promoter. Ended with my own club by the age of 22, and that's where you got the Eve After Dark. And from there, bringing in acts like Run DMC, Curtis Blow, decided I want to have my own group, World Class Wrecking Crew. You know, it just grew from there, Doc. And it's still growing.
Okay, Eve After Dark, El Segundo and Avalon, right there on the corner, held it down by the Shell station. Man, the history in that place. And if the walls could talk, boy, the walls.
You know, the walls ain't through talking. I got a call this morning. The owner's son is about to make some adjustments, and we meeting tomorrow to do a walkthrough about possibly reopening it back up.
They just won't let you go. You try to get out, and they just reel you back in.
Like being in the mafia. I tried. I hate to keep bringing me back. But I probably won't go back in a full management capacity. I told them I would consult, maybe assistant manager, co-promote some stuff. I like my freedom now, man. I'm a grown ass man. I'm a senior citizen now, and I like hopping on planes and going out of town and visiting folks, and getting accolades from various states. And when I had the Eve, I was very confined. So the old man had me under a serious when it's open, you got to be here type situation. And that was cool when I was 22 and had nowhere to go. But I got trophies to pick up and accolades to get, and I like being on planes and hotels and stuff like that. So I'll do what I can do, but I don't want to be locked down.
Congratulations on getting some well-deserved recognition from the state legislature in California. You just on the assembly floor receiving an award. Talk to me about that. What was that about?
And that was really something that just took on a life of its own, dude, because being that I'm the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce, I have relationships with a lot of politicians. And I called up a buddy of mine, Steve Bradford, state senator in California. I says, hey, man, does the state have anything planned for this for hip hop for the 50th anniversary? He said, no. I said, I'd like to put something together. My thinking was doing it here in Compton at the Dollar High Center or maybe Compton College, so that I can honor a lot of the folks from the West Coast family. He says, let's take it to the state assembly floor, to the state senate floor, make it big. I'm like, well, it's gonna be big, but it won't be as many. So
Right.
next
Right.
thing I know, man, I'm working with the Congressional Black Caucus, which he is the co-chair of, and they put together an event, and we flew up last week. Me, Kid Frost, King T, Wanda from JJ Fad, Arabian Prince, Disco Daddy, and my other boy, Captain Rap, and I did say Kid Frost, and we were on the floor, man. The triple OGs of West Coast hip hop. Nobody goes back as far as we do. There's nobody on the West Coast that has been doing it longer than we have, and that was my intention initially.
All right. We were briefly interrupted by a state senator from California, and we had to jump on that one. That was
Got to get them when you can, because if you don't answer the phone, it's hard to get them back on the line, boy. So I had to take that call and just let you know I'm gonna call them right back. So yeah. So anyway, man, next thing I know, we on the state floor doing our thing, and it was really beautiful, man, because we were able to go to the assembly and the state senate, and we were on the floor, went to the state senate, to the gallery. Steve Bradford read a nice proclamation about hip hop. We had a unanimous vote to put that into the on the agenda or for the chart. I don't know how they do it, but it was passed. They had a vote on it. It was passed unanimously by the state assembly, and then we went back down to the state. It was passed unanimously by the state assembly. Went down to the state. I'm sorry. It was passed unanimously by the state senate. We went back down to the assembly floor. At this time, the assembly had dismissed for the day, so we had to run the whole assembly, dude. I got pictures of me standing behind the speaker's desk clowning. Oh, dude, we had a ball. We like some big ass kids, man. So they gave us that run, man. They just gave us the run of the place. Then we had an after party later at the club called The Mix, and that was dope. That was a lot of senators and assemblymen came to that. So I had a chance to really get my political Rolodex tightened up real tight, Doc. So it was a great event for me.
That's dope. And you brought some friends along from the West Coast, covering Black and Brown.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's not the first time that you've done this. Some years ago, you did the first induction for the West Coast Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
Right.
During the Black Expo.
Right.
And yeah, Mellow Man Ace and Be Real from Cypress Hill. That was the year that you inducted Eazy-E as well. And his family came through. So it was you've always shared the limelight unselfishly. And so salute to you for that. That is the sign of a real leader servant, actually. Serving.
That's what godfathers do, though. It ain't about me all the time. It's about the everybody. It's about making sure everybody gets some shine.
Right.
I believe in that, dude. I will never say I did this by myself. I can't have done it by myself. And to be in a position to reflect some light on some folks who don't get a lot of shine, that makes me feel good, Doc. That my folks, Frost don't get no shine like that, man.
Right.
Frost has been dealing with some health issues. He's healthy as a horse now, but he had to get a heart transplant, dude.
Yeah.
JJ Fad, they just not getting the love they deserve from the female culture, female hip hop culture, because for a while they were ignored, but they've been day ones. They've been day one ladies right there. Okay. Right. Disco Daddy came and he came through in the early 70s, paved the way in the early 70s, and he don't get a lot of shine. So just because people don't know the names or know the faces don't mean they don't deserve the recognition. And that's where I come at, being a triple OG, unselfish.
Yeah, that's big. You know what I mean? I actually had never heard of Disco Daddy until you posted about him. So wow. That was brand new to me. Frost, I know from having been on the road with him, through different situations. And you of course.
But dig this right. I said this in Sacramento, and me and Frost was talking. And it dawned on us, this is where we started at, man. We started our first out-of-town gig from LA to anywhere was Sacramento.
Wow.
And we played a club. I played the club. My first gig was a club called The Vortex. We played The Vortex in Sacramento. Then a few weeks later, we came back, me, Frost, Bobby Jimmy and the Critters, and somebody else. We played a fair they had in Sacramento. So Sacramento has always been a second home for us. And I was just glad to be able to go back there and, get some recognition in a second home.
Coming full circle, that's dope. Like, that's dope. And to have that reflection and to be there with one of the people who kicked off with you, Frost. Right. You know what I mean? That had to make it special. Shout out to Frost, man. Army veteran. Brother's been going through some health issues with diabetes, his heart and everything like that. So Kid Frost, the first Latino to go gold in hip hop, if I recall correctly. And a stand-up dude, man, for everybody.
You know what else? Like me and you, Gemini.
Yeah.
Another damn Gemini.
Hey, Gemini is the achievers. So much depth in the West Coast. And shout out to, the founders over on the East Coast. But, the West Coast had its own wave and made its own footprint, starting from, K-Day and Greg Mack bring in, NWA straight from the studio to the dang on radio on a tape that he plugged in and played. And that started a wave. Of course, Ice was doing his thing as well, representing for the West Coast. But there are so many levels, and you touched so many, from the DOC, Egypt, Yella, all the main players from the West Coast. Talk to me about the evolution as you saw it going. You started out at Dudos, then went to Eve, or was it Eve then Dudos?
I started off at Alpine Village first. Alpine Village was our first semi-regular venue. We do that every other Friday. Did that for about a year off and on, and then started doing little small parties. I was always a busy ass DJ from day one. I was a busy son of a gun because I didn't have no competition. I was doing this so early in '76, man. What no competition? What? I ain't had no in fact, what even no mixers around, dude. I started DJing so early in the game, dude. The only person that made a disco mixer was a remote disco mixer was Radio Shack. No, Lafayette. Company called Lafayette. They were like Radio Shack. And my first mixer had a knob on it. And I'd plug in my turntables. And before I had that, I had to use a band mixer called the Yamaha EM150. And it was just a powered mixer with two speakers. And I used that for my initially. Then I realized that somebody told me, hey, man, they got some other stuff. I saw it. I bought a mixer. So I'm doing everybody's gigs, man. I'm doing Latino gigs. I'm doing Russian gigs. I'm doing luau's. I worked my ass off in the very beginning of this shit, dude. I mean, the promoters would have me out doing parties in the park to promote parties. I do after parties and I do baby showers. I'm fashion shows. Dude, I made more money DJing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday than I did at my job Monday through Friday. And that's what made me, when I got fired, I'm like, you know what? Y'all kissing my ass. I'm gonna do something I love.
And never look back.
Job. Huh?
And never look back.
Never look back. Never look back. So having those kind of roots, man. And here's the part that most people, oh man, how come nobody talk? Nobody was around. And I tell cats, understand the numbers. Clarence Avant, the Black Godfather, rest his soul, said it's all about numbers. I'm 19 years old, running the streets of Los Angeles, Wilmington, wherever, doing parties. I'm 12 years older than Q. I mean, he's 7. Okay. He's 7. He just realized what his dick looked like. Okay. And I'm 8 years older than Dre. I mean, he 11. Okay. So, these youngsters would have no reason to know this history. And that's why I do the podcast that I do. That's why I do the shows that I do. I mean, I do the conversation because people have to understand, even though Sedgwick had a big impact before, while they was doing Sedgwick, we was doing same thing on the East Coast. We just hadn't named it hip hop yet. It hadn't become hip hop yet. And I was telling people, even as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop, for us on the West Coast, we have to acknowledge the 50th anniversary for the East Coast. But on the West Coast, it took a little time for hip hop to actually sink in on the West Coast. And I know I don't want to start no division, but I just got to keep it 100 because in '73, I was in high school. I remember this very well. I was in high school, and I didn't graduate high school to 75, and even in 75, I'm rocking to Earth, Wind, and Fire and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and we hadn't heard nothing about no hip or hop yet. So, but we had Soul Train. Now, if Soul Train is a part of hip hop, a major player for hip hop, then maybe a little different. Excuse me. But when it comes down to actual hip hop, me and Kelvin from VIP, who have been friends since 1976, Kelvin was one of my first clients when I had my last job working for Record Shack, selling records. We came up to the conclusion LA hip hop may have started about 77, 78. 77, 78. 78 might be our anniversary. That's when you start seeing the movement for us. Okay. I didn't hear my first real hip hop record till 79, which is Curtis Blow. But again, there was other stuff they had done. Fatback had done a rap record, and rapping wasn't even considered music at that time.
Right.
It just depends on, we have to sit down and agree what event or what date is the birthday of West Coast. Because there's nothing wrong with East Coast having their birthday and us having ours. Your birthday just so happened to be the same as mine, but if your birthday was different than mine, it don't mean it don't make it any less. It's just that you were born a little bit later or before I was. And I think that's the same thing when it comes to West Coast hip hop. I think West Coast hip hop, the birth of West Coast hip hop may have been in the late 70s, more like 77, 78.
Do you think it's important to, be definitive about that instead of just encompassing West Coast hip hop into the overall fabric of hip hop?
Well, we're still encompassing with the fabric. I just think as we celebrate our 50th anniversary, okay, the birth of, it's like the birth of one thing is this date right here. The concept of hip hop as a whole is August 12th, 1973. That took place in New York, but by the time it hit LA and we started developing our own version, because it was different. Even though it was the same thing, it was different. So our version of hip hop took place in maybe 78, 79. And I don't see a problem with that, because again, everybody has his own birth date. And because something took a little time to get across the Mason-Dixon line to settle in the West, and once it was settled in the West, it was developed in the West, and it became something different. It became something similar, but it came different. I don't see a problem with that, but some people may.
Okay. I don't see a problem with it. And I think it is definitive. And the sounds were different.
Right.
The production was different.
Right.
The skill set was the same in that they were rapping and talking about what was happening in the street. They were still the bards of the street, just happened to be from the West Coast.
I totally feel that. We were my origins of West Coast. Like I said, I'm a kid from Compton, and every week we had a dance to go to. That was our introduction to partying as a kid. My elementary school, my Catholic school, gave a dance every 2 weeks on Friday nights, 7 to 11.
Wow.
My first regular DJ gig was at a all-girls Catholic school, Regina Channing in Compton, 7 to 11 on Saturday nights. As a kid, I'm going to Campanella Park and partying in the rec room. That wasn't 7 to 11. That might be like 69 or 60-10, something like that. Okay, so we have different, or things are different on different coasts. You couldn't have walked to your dances in September. I mean, in November, or October in New York. We did, because our weather is different.
Right.
So, you see what I'm saying? So just like there's a time zone difference, there's a weather difference. There should be, and it seems to me it shouldn't be an issue with us having a later date of hip hop than the East Coast.
It doesn't make it a separate part of hip hop. It just makes it a division of hip hop.
Okay, yeah.
The same way the South,
South didn't come on board till the late 80s, late 90s.
Late 80s, yeah. The Screw Click and all that. Yeah,
right.
they had their own date when they really launched. Yeah.
When we first started off as World Class Wrecking Crew, all we did was the South. That we was Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia. That's all we did when we first, as an independent record label owner, when outside of K-Day, servicing K-Day with records, the rest of my records went down south, and that's why I knew I was going to work down there as soon as they hit the radio station.
Yeah.
No, there was nobody opening up for us from the south in the 80s, in the late 70s, 80s. There was nobody opening for us. There was nobody rapping back then. So if we inspired that, and it took root, it took a little while for the root to develop. It's like any other thing. Just because the tree grew in the 50s, the offspring took a little while to take root. The tree is still there.
Yeah,
the tree is still there, but the offspring of the tree took a little while to take root and grow. And that's the same thing we got here. The root, the tree of hip hop started in 73, but the branches took a little while to blow towards the West Coast, and our roots took root a little bit later. That's all.
Okay. And I shout out to some of the East Coast, but I'm a West Coast hip hop fan. The sound, the style, the meaning, the grittiness, it hits a little different, you know what I mean, than some of the stuff from the East Coast. And I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just happen to be a fan of that heavy bottom, that signature sound, that West Coast heavy bottom that we rock with. So
but we also had but without Africa Bambaataa, Soul Sonic Force, and Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, we wouldn't have had the inspiration, because they all inspired us. I mean, right. So if they hitting in the early 80s and we come out behind them, okay, so that's when it took us that long to, them boys is tough. I like that shit. We're gonna do I can't wear no spacesuit. I ain't doing the feathers. I ain't doing, certain shit I'm not gonna do. And that's how we got the shiny suit. We're gonna do something classy, a little different.
Right.
So if people see pictures of Africa and Bambaataa, they spaced out Indians, all kinds of same thing with Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5. They were like the village people almost. No disrespect intended, but I'm just saying it is what it is. And once you understand that, you start to get a better idea of how the evolution of hip hop took place. And there's no disrespect to nobody, but it's just some things, because they did this, we did this right here. Because they did this, we wouldn't do that. And that's all it was. Back then, biting was like a worst thing you can do, man.
Yeah, for real.
No. We had to have 4. They had 5. We had to be 4. Run DMC was 3. We had to be 4. Okay, we didn't want a 5-man group. We had 5. We could have had 5. Didn't have 5. We had 4 because there was a 3-man group. There was a 2-man group. Then you got the Force MDs. They who's hip hop. They sing their ass off.
Yeah.
Okay, so we out there with Force MDs. Okay, that was one of our main packages. Force MDs, UTFO, Climax sometimes.
For sure.
Surface. Yeah, the Surface. I mean, these are the acts we perform with, not all together, but we go back and forth. And so our style had to be compatible to everything.
Right.
We didn't have the luxury of wearing jeans and tennis shoes on stage. We performing with Surface. How you go come on stage with jeans and tennis shoes? Okay. Why? Okay. Back then the showmanship was a lot more in demand. I look at hip hop shows right now, and like them dudes just walked off the basketball court, grabbed the microphone, and did their thing. Ain't no stage production. It's just a lot different till you get to the big boys, till you start getting to the Beyoncés, and you see millions of dollars of LED and flames and lasers and stuff. But for the most part, the mid-level hip hop cats, they just grab a mic and do their thing.
There you go, rock.
40 niggas on stage, which I can't never understand. Anyway, I ain't never like that. I'm sorry. I don't need no 40 niggas on stage behind me. I don't need nobody but me and the DJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's changed a little bit now. Folks are seeing that, they don't need to have their whole crew, all their shooters on stage with them. It's more about the business. Let's get on, get off, do our thing, and go. They taking some of the pointers from the OGs like you.
Well, you know what, dude? When your music is the kind of music that incites people to want to challenge you, it makes you have to bring your shooters from the house to watch your back. But if you're making party music, ain't nobody looking to shoot the party, man. They looking as a DJ. I went in every hood in Los Angeles because I'm the party man, dude. That's the DJ. Ain't nobody ever fuck with me because I'm bringing the party. And it's the same thing as an artist. If you bring in the party, bringing some enlightenment and staying out of that street bullshit, you'll be all right. But everybody wants to be a gangster till it's time to go to jail or it's time to die.
Yeah. Yeah. They reconsider quickly. I've seen it happen. Talk to me, World Class Wrecking Crew, obviously, on Drink Champs, both Cube and Ice-T have made mention of World Class Wrecking Crew and the timing between World Class as party promoters and Uncle Jam's Army. And at one point, you and Roger Clayton were partners or did things together and then went separately. And each one of you had a hold on a portion of the city. Friendly competition, but without you two.
Friendly? That's bullshit. It was friendly, but it wasn't friendly.
Yeah. He was kind of, it was serious competition, but at the same time, representing the same area. But without those two camps, West Coast hip hop, especially LA hip hop, would not have developed the way that it did. They were throwing parties, Uncle Jams was throwing parties where they were doing it in different hoods. You were a little more well-rounded, I think, hitting different places and things. And talk to me, first of all, who are the OGs of World Class Wrecking Crew? I happened to see the post you did with the original World Class chain that you did. Who were the original members? There was what, 5 or 7 made, something like that? 5?
It was only 5 made. Myself, Dr. Dre, Yella, Clientele, and Shakespeare. Unknown never had he never got a chain. He went independent before we got the chains. He had a jacket at one time. He wore the jacket. The jackets were the ultimate symbol of membership in the organization at that time. We only had about 20 jackets made I can think of, man, because at some point in time, the guys that cleaned the club up, the cashiers, security guards, everybody wanted a jacket. We rolled like that. People called us a gang sometime because I said, I ain't never led no gang. He said, nah, y'all like a goddamn gang. I said, nope, we ain't the Jets or no shit like that. We just come out and pass out some flyers. But them jackets, man, of all the shit that we've ever made, caused more problem than anything else. The chain's never been a problem. The jackets were always a problem because it showed the sense of organization that nobody else had. And I got the jackets from the idea for them from the jackets from the record companies. I used to go to Jack the Rapper, go to BRE, all the various conferences, and every record company had a jacket.
Right.
Okay? Every record company had their jackets. Warner Brothers, Motown, everybody had their jackets. I thought that was the dopest shit in the world. And one lady made all the jackets for the record companies. Lady out in the valley, she was a little, I think she was Yugoslavian or some shit. She had a real funny accent. But in order for me to get those jackets made, I had to go in with a partner of mine. She wouldn't even take the order until my partner, who worked for Arista, introduced me to her. And she didn't want. We don't have time. We don't have time. She said, make time, okay? And when she realized I was legit, and I came back, I've had about 3 different versions of jackets made, but they were when we walk into Uncle Jam's Army set, we would just suck all the energy out of the room. Who was that? And then you have to say nothing. I looked at the back of the jacket, it said Eve After Dark. And that was all it said. And everybody, that's them Eve dudes. That's them Eve dudes. And Roger hated that shit with a passion. And then he made it. He said, man, y'all can come in, but y'all can't wear the jackets. Nigga, please. So anyway, what we did is we went through that a couple of times, and our next jackets we had made, they were reversible. We had they were reversible.
Oh,
So
six.
we walk in, they was all the same color. We walk in, we walk past the cashier and flip them over, and there we are again. Ah, they hated that shit. We're gonna get some Jack. We're gonna get some Jack. Yeah, okay, fine. But we got this. This is our third set, baby. So I actually I've had about 4 sets. We started off with the purple ones, then we got the black and blue, then we had the burgundy and gray. Then the last ones we had made were the leather jackets. We had Letterman jackets made for my last tour, and Battle Cat got one of them. He still has his. Battle Cat, I still got mine. I framed it though. I had it, for instance, hanging in my living room as a remnant of the good old days. That's when everybody was wearing a Letterman jacket with the big numbers, the big letters.
Yeah.
Hammer had them and shit. And yeah, that was it, Doc.
Talk to me about, as you saw it, the evolution. Of course, coming from you, the main players, like you said, Dre, Battle Cat. Battle Cat's finally getting his flowers like crazy right now.
Yes.
Well deserved. Dre, of course, is well established, but as you saw it, the development, was there a defining record or moment where you said, this is going to be our new voice from the West Coast, the voice of the streets? And did it start with your camp? Was it surgery?
It started off with surgery, but although surgery was a good record for us, the biggest record we ever had, well, after surgery, was Lovers. Lovers was bigger than surgery and Juice. Lovers got us airplay up from the radio like nobody's business. That's why I went back with Turn Off the Lights. And Lovers, Turn Off the Lights was such a good record. It's totally overshadowed Lovers at this point in time. But when it came down to a record that changed our direction, changed for Wrecking Crew, I have to say it was Lovers, man, because we just did it because LL had did I Need Love. And that was like the first hip hop slow song. Okay.
Right.
And when he did that, it showed me, I was like, you know what, man, that's cool. That's somebody, because up until then, hip hop was all hardcore.
Right.
Okay. I'm How Bad You Are. And no, I need some pussy. Okay.
Right.
And that was more of our thing anyway. I need love. Okay. So I never forget, we were riding back from a gig we did in Oakland, and I was driving, and clientele was in the front seat. We said, we need to do something like that, man. We need to do a hip hop slow record. And I remembered the Floaters, Float On.
Right.
And using that format and got Mona involved, that became our format. Okay. The 4-man rap song with the girl in the middle. And that's how we did. Same thing. We did the same thing with Turn Off the Lights. And that was our big hit.
I remember Turn Off the Lights. That was Michelet, wasn't it?
Yeah. That wasn't that song. I need to talk to her because she don't understand the significance of the universe, how things work for people. And I tell people all the time, man, most of the stuff that happened in the early days was just somebody answered the phone. Okay.
Right.
Answered the phone. And when I was making Turn Off the Lights, the beat was done. I gave everybody some money to get to the studio. And the last person I called was Mona. And I'm finding out she was in Connecticut working with Kashif. And me and Kashif laughed about this later on, about how he changed the direction of hip hop. Because that song was written with Mona in mind. That's the only person I had. Me and Mona had did a song together. We had did duets together. We did other songs together. And that was the one I wrote for her. And she wasn't available. When she got the message and called me, I found out she was in Connecticut working with Kashif. And the next person was Michelet in my Rolodex. And she answered the phone.
Wow.
And contrary to what they said in her documentary, blah blah blah, she was not working. She worked at the Carson, Fox Hills Mall, but I didn't meet her there. Somebody brought her by the house, and next thing I know, a year later, it wasn't no same day. A year later, she came. I was working on Turn Off the Lights, and she was able to get in there. And again, my being the kind of person I am, hey, look, man, I got money on the line. Y'all ain't spending no money. Y'all ain't got no say so. She gonna sing the song today, and she pulled it off, and that's how it happened, dude.
Wow.
Anything else is bullshit. I laugh sometimes. Discovered by Easy, but how the fuck you get discovered on my hit record? But that just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got discovered. You was on a hit record already, but you got discovered by him. Okay, it is what it is. So this kind of stuff that I've been dealing with all my life, man. So it's just part of the goddamn game, dude.
It's hard coming first, isn't it?
It's hard being first, man, because they don't go by first. They go by popularity. Okay. Without somebody being first, it's like the dance floor. Nobody wants to be the first person on the dance floor. But once that first person starts dancing, everybody get on the floor, and then the person that danced the best usually gets all the recognition. So I've been on the dance floor first quite a few times, but it is what it is, Doc. I ain't mad.
Okay. Earlier on, I mentioned because you've had multiple distribution companies and distribution deals and record companies. As West Coast hip hop went through phases and things, and as the truces and treaties were becoming part of West Coast hip hop culture, you did some things like Banging on Wax, which were the ones that you had the Bloods and the Crips.
That wasn't me. I did a Compton compilation.
And
I did Flamin'. I didn't do Banging on Wax.
Okay, you did Flamin'. Okay,
I did Flamin'. I did Compton compilation and Compton Cartel. Then I did First Inner City Harvest. I did about 6 compilation albums, giving other artists a chance to blow up. I never really, dude. I work with a lot of gangbangers, but I never wanted to be on that tip because I know that shit can blow up in your face at any given moment. And I've interviewed my boy Mike Frankie, who was an engineer for both of those songs, and he calls it the Banging on Wax curse, because most of those guys who were involved in that project have died. In fact, it was really spooky, man, because I think right before the pandemic, one of the few guys that was still around, my boy, damn, I can't think of his name right now. Battle Cat's partner. He ran with Battle Cat all the time. Damn it, what was his name? Was it Q Dog? Something like that. Damn it, I can't think of his name. He came on the show with Mike Frankie. We had an interview, man, and did the interview, and 2 months later, he got killed on his motorcycle.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me see if I still got his number in my phone. I do that stuff like that. Anyway, but yeah, man, he was Mike Frankie, who was, like I said, the engineer behind the song, behind the project, was he was one of the first people to say, man, I felt that thing had a curse on it because so many guys was just falling dead behind it,
He was talking to cats. These was cats recording that was really doing the do. They were really active. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was not bullshitting.
Yeah, they were not joking around with it. But it also became part of the movement towards the truce, which came, later.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, it was a big part of it. Like, wow. Anyway, but the Compton compilation, that brought people from all over the city and different styles. How did that come to fruition?
Compilation came a little different, man. I had the studio, of course. Drayden had just left, and my boy, Big Slip, Terry Allen, hit me up. Hey, man, I got a crew. I'm producing beats. All I need is a studio. Okay, cool, and a label. So he made all the beats, brought everybody over here, and then Compton's Most Wanted, Chillin' 8, I had met with Easy and told him to come see me. And at the same time, we were doing the Compton compilation, and Slip put them in the studio, and they had a little something. And but we also had Mike T, who was a DJ, working with DJ Slip, who was a Blood. and you got Crips from Compton, Inglewood Bloods, and I let it be known. I don't care where you come from. When you come here, you got to come correct. And everybody always respected that. And although they was on different sides of the tracks, carried different flags in their back pockets, they pulled it off, man, and they became the Compton's Most Wanted, featuring Mike T.
Wow.
But,
Wow.
but you know what, Doc? I'm gonna say something, man.
Holla.
I'm gonna say something that's real. Even as a club owner, as a homeowner, studio owner, I never got it. I've always had positive influences that kept my business, helped me keep my business in line. What I mean by that is, Eve After Dark, I had my old man who introduced me to the owner of Eve After Dark, Jeff D, who owned the building, gave me free reign to do whatever I needed to do. But these are the rules. We ain't gonna have no dope, no fighting, no shooting, blah, 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 blah. And from time to time, he would pop in. I use some of those same tactics in the studio.
Mm.
This is my house. This is my equipment. You steal from me, we canceling all this shit. Okay. And I pop in from time to time. They never smoked weed back then. They always drank. When I took my trash cans out, it sounded like a serious recycling place. But they all respected that. And I tell people all the time, the difference between Uncle Jam's Army and Wrecking Crew is that we had a sense of responsibility that everybody's kids had to go home safe.
Right.
Okay. And because I just felt that. And I tell people all the time, you got to understand, at Eve After Dark and Dudos, people would drop their kids off to the events. And dude, how do you tell your mama your kids and they're dead? Okay. Right. I couldn't do that. And Cube, he made a comment on Dub C and CJ Maxx podcast, and he wanted to call CIA criminals in action. I wouldn't let him do it. And CJ made a comment, Lonzo wasn't messing with that gangster shit. It wasn't so much I wasn't messing with the gangster shit. It's just that there was a gangster that I was afraid of. Okay. And I didn't want to have to answer to that gangster. And that was Cube's mama. Okay. How do I let your 15-year-old son become a criminal under my heading? Tell me how I'm supposed to let that fly. Her non-criminal son, I'm gonna let him name his group Criminals in Action. How do I do that and look your mama in the face? I couldn't do that. So, and the difference, even back then, I never claimed to be a gangbanger, but trust. I've had to do a lot of gangster shit to survive in these streets, man. I just didn't do it with nobody's flag on my back pocket. I was always, my generation was taught, if you got to do something, you go get it done, sit your ass down, and pray for the statute of limitations to be up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't make a record about it. You don't make a movie about it. You don't do shit about it. You keep your goddamn mouth quiet. And it goes, but that ain't that. I was pre-internet. Okay. Now you got folks can't wait to go do a crime and brag about it on the internet and wonder why they go to jail.
Go straight to the studio.
Straight to the studio and talk about killing somebody.
Yeah. No, okay. I never understood that. I'm like, dude, what the hell?
So back in the 80s,
yeah.
In the 80s, I had a response. I got people's kids, man. I got people's kids in my house. I didn't know they were ditching school. I didn't know Dre picked them up, brought them over here. Sometimes I didn't come. Sometimes I wouldn't be here all day long. Dre had to run to the studio. So when you dealing with people's kids, and that's the difference, man. I think that's the difference between a lot of folks. I was not their friend. I was the responsible adult here at this house. I know if something goes wrong, I'm gonna be the one looking at the problem.
Right.
So, just it's different mindset. That's all.
Talk to me about the evolution of the sound as you saw it, the trajectory of the heavy bottom, the more direct street sounds that, were proliferated by Cat, Dre, and Quick. And of course, Pooh and 8 and them were out there doing their thing as well.
And that was some of the dopest shit ever been recorded. It's just that some of the messages in there was insightful. And I know the DJ, I still DJ right to this day, man. I do parties right. I got 3 bookings in September already. Okay. So I understand the impact of music. And I remember when I had the Current Affair where we met at.
Yes.
When I would DJ at the Current Affair, if I played gangster rap after 1:00, it was a high probability there would be some shit in the parking lot. Okay. And as I realized at 1:00, that's when people do they last call for alcohol. So you got folks that's getting their drink on, and they're trying to get right for that little after party at the pad, and that gangster rap cranked them up. But I noticed when I would change it up, drop the Isley Brothers or Arrested Development, everybody leave with no problem. So as much as I enjoyed it, and I played it even when I left it because I still got it in my car. I play Tupac all the time. Mm-hmm. I play R&G all the time. I play NWA all the time. And I'm a grown-ass man with grandkids.
Yeah.
I understand the significance that you can't do it everywhere. And that's the problem with a lot of folks. They don't understand everything don't fit everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I noticed that. And actually we met on the set of Welcome to Death Row, the documentary, right. Welcome to Death Row. And you invited the crew out to the Current Affair. I was the only one crazy enough to come through in my button-down shirt, some slacks, looking like I just come from the law office, which I pretty much had. And I was like, this is home. You know, Current Affair felt like home. Now, me being from the other side of town, I was totally out of bounds, but wouldn't nobody know that with that shirt and tie and slacks on. You feel me? So it wasn't until later that I had to identify myself as, you know, get shit situationally correct from time to time. But it felt like home. You were masterful in the playlist, and you know, the Current Affair was packed. When we met, it was packed constantly. And then the domino games, bro. The domino games, having old guy from 227, I forgot his name. Was
Hal? Was it Hal?
Hal Williams? Yeah. Hal Williams. I got a chance to interview him, by the way, later on down the line when I came here to Hype, you know, some years ago. But yeah, that was like amazing. So you've always been a leader in the community, and now, as you've watched, tell me some of the defining moments, though, label-wise, because there was a time, you know, after, you know, Jimmy Iovine had his conversation with Cube, and you know,
Brian Turner? Was it Brian Turner, or
who was it that got their office rearranged?
That was Brian Turner.
Brian Turner. Yeah. Okay. And then some of the majors started to shy away. Here comes TVT, then there goes TVT, then here comes Bungalow and Joe Iskro with Private Eye were some of the saviors of the street music. Talk to me about the evolution of the business part of the music business from the West Coast standpoint.
Well, you know what? The evolution, man, is this, that that's one of the things that sets us apart from East Coast. We all had to become entrepreneurs. There was nobody checking for us in the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why I feel that we have a different starting point than the East Coast. We had to become entrepreneurs, learn how to make records, record records, sell records, promote records. That was fun for me, dude. That was fun for me. The versatility of being able to leave the studio, go to mastering house, make the labels, review the artwork, do all the different things, get the stuff done, that was a part of my day. And for that not to be a factor these days, man, it's like, damn. I mean, back in the day, we would ship, as you very well know, you could ship 2 or 3 boxes to a distributor and get a Western Union cash a few hours later. Once you send them the shipping label that it was shipped, it was the money would be shipped would be Western Union to you already with no cash out back then. All you had was Western Union. They're gonna tap your ass a little bit too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but having that physical product, being able to walk into a record store, being able to walk into a radio station on Tuesdays, meet a lot of the players, and that's one of the things that I'm blessed with. That because even though I'm an artist, I'm still a label owner, and I was able to connect with the various record people, the record promoters, to get product for my club, to get acts for my club, my whatever I was doing. So I've worn so many hats, and I just appreciated the game as it was. I remember one of my last big deals was with Triple X Records, and I would take records out to where they beat Rodney King at Simi Valley, and I had a Suburban back then. I'd take so many CDs out there, and I believe the driveway of Triple X, my bumper would scrape the ground. Go out to Simi Valley, they would load my truck. I'd go in the office, pick up $15,000-$20,000, like it was a cheese sandwich.
Wow.
Okay? $15,000-$20,000 like it was a cheese sandwich, and I'm getting paid on both ends. So it just was a different time, dude. It was just fucking beautiful, man. It's just beautiful, and they'll never know what I'm talking about because they never have to make product. We wrap up this interview. I'm gonna go in my studio and make a commercial. Somebody had to pay $200 to do on my laptop. I'm gonna make a commercial for my prostate cancer ward on my laptop in a few minutes. That back in the day that couldn't happen, dude. I had to go to the studio and spend a couple $100 to make that happen.
For you as the godfather of West Coast hip hop, what has been the most satisfying part of the impact of the West Coast culture on the jump?
When I see guys like Hugh step up, and who I've known since he was a kid, go from music to movies and sports, okay? And he still remembers my fucking name, okay? He still spits my name on a regular fucking basis, man. He's probably one of the youngest cats I worked with. For me, that's a major accomplishment, okay? We haven't had conversations about my history that I know of, but he read, found out, listened, talked to somebody, and that's for me. That's a major. And then to see him even embrace politics,
right?
They don't like. Some people don't like the way his politics or his timing for the politics. That don't mean he's wrong. That just means that he just may have had some bad timing, but he's trying, and that's the part I got to give it to him for. So, that whole watching people, man, develop, dudes, kicking back and seeing how many folks that even the offspring of the offspring, it's like watching my grandkid. I'm going to see my sixth grandkid in a little while. But I look and I see people from hip hop who give me credit for me giving birth to one person, they were able to give birth to somebody else. So it just, for me, that's phenomenal, man.
I'm gonna give you some flowers right now myself. For full transparency, I have to do it. So we did meet on the set of Welcome to Death Row. Lonzo was a participant in Welcome to Death Row. I was the talent coordinator. You don't believe me? You can go look on IMDb. Anyway, I had actually become, Lydia's assistant, and I quit my job at the law firm to go to work on this project as part of Godfather Entertainment talking to Harry O every day, Lydia face to face every day. No matter the politics, this is what started it, right? So I got in there, met Lonzo. He invited us out. I go to the club. Boom, 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 boom. One thing leads to another, and I end up working with him for him on the weekends, get a little extra change. He always paid, which was important back then. You know what I mean? And then we started doing the big thing that we did was you allowed me to do the AT&T Talent Showcase after I, and then remember Nate Dogg used to send his A&R team out to the showcase. Right. And we had a packed house. It'd be 10, 20 damn acts and a packed house. It was a great opportunity. Then Celeb came and you turned me on to Unknown, actually. And then from Unknown came Celeb. That's how I got in the mix with Frost and Rapid Forte, joints like that. All this came from Lonzo. So not only has he been the hub in the middle of a wheel for musicians, but my little driving across the country street team having ass, in-store display building behind, Lonzo was part of that. And here I am now as the editor-in-chief of the Hype magazine. A lot of my inspiration and my knowledge and my contacts come from, you know, this man here opening up the door to somebody he met over a bowl of Cheerios. I really appreciate you. So I just want to say thank you. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? And here we are 20 years later. I was the best man in his wedding. He was a groomsman in mine. Yeah. Yeah. A little over 20 plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been in each other's weddings. A friendship that I never thought that I would ever have. He did lower my status to a group text message on birthday. We had a conversation about that, but over the time, man, this man has been straightforward, solid, and you know, I learned a lot about understanding business. I still owe him some money, I think, from my times out on the road with Celeb.
My cat app is Lonzo $Lonzo
Go get it.
It ain't hard to find. I send you the QR code if you need to, damn it.
Man, is there anything you wanted to cover? I know that you're trying to get out and get back in the street. Is there anything you wanted to cover that I may have missed that you feel is important about the story of Lonzo Williams, West Coast hip hop in general?
You know, once we turn these cameras off and these lights off, all kind of shit gonna come to my ass. That I could answer that question with, but as it stands right now, I'm pretty good, Doc. I don't know if I told you, I think I mentioned I'm the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce. And in doing that, we've talked to the city of Compton, and we're going to get a street renamed after Eazy-E. And once that's completed, I'm going to go after my big baby, which is create a Walk of Fame in the city of Compton. And again, it ain't about me. It's about the folks that came through Compton that have put Compton on the map that get no recognition. As a president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce, it's my responsibility to find ways to generate business through tourism. And people come to Compton looking for the tourist attractions, and they find my partner who runs the Compton store, and they go to the Compton store and buy their Compton memorabilia, T-shirts, hoodies, whatever the case may be. I have some of my books in that store, and man, I get calls on a regular basis with different accents from around the world looking to, hey man, where should we go? And I get so tired of telling them, I don't know what to tell you, man. So with Easy Street coming to fruition, I'm working on another little Easy NWA monument, the Walk of Fame, the Olympics coming to town. Dude, I do believe that we can make a positive impact. The Eve get back open. All these things, man, will be accomplishments that can put Compton and, you know, solidify what we're doing. Okay, Eve After Dark was in the Super Bowl, man. The Eve After Dark was in the 2022 Super Bowl center stage.
Yeah.
That don't get no bigger than that, man. It never happened before.
None. Yeah.
The club that I owned, where I met Dr. Dre at, is center stage, the Super Bowl. Compton, center stage, Super Bowl. And there's no real way to take advantage of that or utilize that. There's nothing you can do that's going to really, make that something that's eternal. That 15 minutes is gone. How do you get that 15 minutes back? How do you prolong that 15 minutes through something? I don't know, but I know it needs to be done, and that's one of my callings. I don't always know how I'm gonna get it done. I just know it needs to be done, and God will help me figure out how to get it done.
Well, that Super Bowl show is ensconced in the Football Hall of Fame. The video, that Super Bowl show made history, and one of the big things that made history with 50 with his hanging upside down ass, representing the East Coast, but recognizing that he also had benefit from the West Coast. So that was kind of crazy. That show is ensconced in football history and hip hop history. Never let it fool you. And we can go pull that footage anytime. But
go ahead.
I have graced the dance floor of Eve After Dark myself. I have seen and smelled and tasted drinks and food from hip hop history, West Coast hip hop history. I hope you do bring it back. And I look forward to coming home and visiting again.
All right.
Lonzo, the Grandmaster Williams.
I got something for you. Let me end this for you right quick. My name is Lonzo. My name is Lonzo. Some of y'all may never heard of me, but I'm the first man to put Dr. Dre into surgery. Stuck Ice Cube in the freezer till he got cold on the Eve After Dark Center Stage Super Bowl. My history goes deeper than most of y'all will ever know. But just remember that NWA stands for Not Without Alonzo. I'm out.
Oh, that's the way to end it. Hype Magazine live sessions. Till next time, baby. I appreciate you. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for the leadership that you continue to show within hip hop and keeping Compton and West Coast hip hop at the forefront and center of people's minds. Not without Alonzo. Mic drop.
Peace.
Peace.
As an artist, we should reflect the time.
Why you so talented?
Cause I'm black.
Why you so amazing?
Cause I'm black.
It's really important that we build characters so that people understand their story matters.
2 Chainz and I both are just really into good food.
And when you know you are royalty, you will only aim in life to be royalty.
We're doing it right now. I don't give a damn what they say about me. Yes, I called your ass out. I know I shouldn't be saying this kind of.
Shout out to Hype Magazine Network.
Shout out to the Hype Magazine Network.